Rise Podcast, episode number 1, Cherie French, Chenoweth and Cohen.
This is the Rise Podcast, brought to you by Firehouse Dryer Vent Cleaning and Tulsa Real Producers. Interviews with top producers, connecting, elevating, and inspiring you to rise above the crowd in your real estate career. And now your host, Mark Evans.
And here we are, and there she is, Cherie French, the lady of the hour with Chenoweth and Cohen. I cannot thank you more than, for being on the podcast, because you didn't, you're one of the first, and you didn't have anything to go by of like, is this thing, anything about it, and you jumped out there, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Cherie, for being on the Rise Podcast.
It's my pleasure. I'm excited. This is my first podcast.
No kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll just jump right into it. So when did you begin your career in real estate?
I started in 1992 at age 24, a little boutique firm down on Brookside in Tulsa.
Awesome. And everyone has a different story about what got them into the industry, but what drew you to a career in real estate?
It felt like a really important job. Mm-hmm. And I know that it's always going to have relevancy because people always need housing.
For sure.
And I saw that there was longevity in it because all types of people sell real estate, and some of the greatest stars in real estate are in their 80s and still selling real estate well. Mm-hmm. And there's no ceiling. The only limitation you have is the one that you put on yourself in real estate.
That's 100% true. So what, because it's because of the entrepreneurship, type business that it is. So this could be career related, or it could be personally related, but what one thing makes you most proud?
That's an easy question. That would be my son. He's 19 now, and he just left home about a month ago to attend the University of Arkansas.
Oh, wow. So that's pretty awesome. Does he know what he's going to major in yet?
He's actually going to the Sam Walton School of Business.
Oh, fantastic. That's, what an awesome opportunity. So this is kind of for those agents who maybe are, just starting in their career, or maybe an agent where maybe they've plateaued in their career and they just want to go to that next level. But the landscape has changed since 1992. But if you had to start again today, what would you do different?
I would have put systems in place as if I were a multi-million-dollar producer day one. When you start out, that's when you have the time. And I think when you get into real estate, you just start going through the motions. You just get your real estate license. And that's about the rules of the industry. But to really know the business, you have to just dive right into it. And so as you learn each transaction at a time, new things, you need to start thinking about how you really want your business to run and find those systems, the databases, looking at how a transaction should run from beginning to end, what you think your customers would appreciate in terms of communication along the way. I feel like that is really important. It was something that I didn't do. And then when I got 5 years into my career, I was trying to find ways to streamline my business more while I was actually practicing
While you're in the business, right? Yes.
Right, correct.
It's kind of those deals where you were working on the business and not in the business.
Yes, correct.
Or however that saying goes. But so, that makes sense, because you can't wait. If you begin with the end in mind, I guess you could say, then you'll be ready when that growth happens.
Yes.
Because if not, I've seen it. You see it with corporations all the time. There's that old theory of they can grow too fast. And I think real estate, certainly you could do the same thing, and you get bogged down because there's just so many levels, layers, and, to get to the closing table. And so what you said, if those systems are not in place, your own growth could, hinder you, which sounds, completely counterintuitive, but I understand that. So If
It also puts you in that mentality of succeeding,
true,
when you
yeah.
really start putting time into thinking about how you want your business to run early on.
That's 100% true. So,
Hmm.
did you have a mentor, and if so, how important is mentorship to you in a real estate career?
I had an excellent mentor. His name is Roger Urker.
Hmm.
He was a broker owner at a little boutique firm down on Brookside,
Hmm.
and he shared a lot of time and experiences with me. And what that did was it promoted my growth like warp speed. That experience and each encounter that he had and how he overcame it, it really just promotes faster learning.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you learn one transaction at a time. Every transaction is unique with its own set of challenges, and the more professionals that are seasoned that you speak with, the more equipped you will be in a shorter amount of time.
Right. So you obviously you believe in mentorship. So I would just say to those who are watching the podcast and or listening to it, the audio version, if they're driving, that mentorship is a key ingredient to taking that that career to the next level and getting where you want to go. So if what I see in the industry, team selling is very prevalent in real estate. So for agents that are looking to partner with another producer, what factors would you look for, and what factors would you consider at the other end would be deal breakers?
You would really want to make sure that the partner you're considering is evenly matched with your work ethic.
Oh
One of
yeah,
the things that I have seen throughout the years where teams did not. So you would definitely want to make sure that your business philosophy is the same and that the drive is the same. As far as deal breakers, for me, if you're not ethical, you're out. If you don't answer your phone, you're out.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So this to me anyway might be the most important question because, well, like for instance, when you were at any point in your career, what is the most important risk you took and why?
That would have been early on in my career. I was probably 4 or 5 months into holding a real estate license, but I was still holding on to the steady paycheck. I knew that real estate was my career and I wanted to do it, and that teetering of one foot in one job and one foot of the other was kind of just
Yeah.
really holding me back.
Com-
And so you really need to jump off that cliff to give yourself a chance to fly. And that's really the only way that you can know real estate is
mhm.
to be in it full time. It's like the stock market, it's
Yep.
constantly evolving. And if you're out of it for 24 hours,
That's right.
you're
The
behind.
landscape changes that
Mm-hmm.
rapidly. Yeah, it's
Indeed.
very dramatic. So
Mm-hmm.
that was an awesome answer. So when you look back over the career, we know now you were qualified as a Tulsa Real Producer, meaning top 500 in the industry, in the Tulsa market. So, which is an awesome thing to have attained. But when you look back, what was your aha moment when your sales production took off? What was the catalyst?
Probably when I understood what the true nature of uh, a realtor is, and
Hmm.
that is a problem solver.
Yeah.
When I first started real estate in these transactions, I like, why is this so hard? Why are we having
Sure.
these title problems? Oh my gosh, the appraisal didn't come through. The closing's not going to happen on time. And it just sounded like everything was just always a catastrophe. But that moment when you realize that that's really just the nature of real estate. It's going to have its challenges, and what you need to do is just work through them one step at a time, and that's you develop that skill set to be calm and get the problem solved and see the transaction to closing. That was a really big moment for me when you realize that, it's just the nature of real estate. Just, pull up your bootstraps and get it done.
Right. And that answer is really, that's a very important answer, because the mindset that you need for that, that I don't know, a lot of it, like you mentioned, the mentor. There are things that a mentor can teach you. They can, show you mistakes they've made before you make them. But with that mentality you mentioned of staying calm, I don't know that can be taught. I mean, that's just innate, an innate characteristic. I mean, you can maybe teach yourself, but I don't know that an outside force could maybe teach that to you. So that's, that answer
Yeah,
is
it took a
important.
little bit of experience to
You bet.
realize, hey, this is just the nature of real estate.
Yeah.
It's not hard. You just need to get the problems worked out.
Right. That makes perfect sense. So, is there a favorite book that has helped you in your career? Maybe a business book, or just any book, anything that's helped you in your career.
I really liked a book called Atomic Habits.
I know it.
And initially you hear that title and you think, "Whoa, these big explosive
Mm-hmm.
habits that are just awesome." But what it really refers to is the size of an atom, and that it's the little things, it's the little small changes and habits that you implement that over time create uh, a much larger impact on your life than you would realize.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to do. Yeah, I just love that book because it applied to a lot of things in my life. Like when
Mm-hmm.
I first read it, I was starting a diet,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
so I just looked at, the little thing like making sure I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner every
Yep.
day, and
Things that
it
seem so
just,
simple but are so difficult.
yeah, I love the book.
That's
Very
awesome.
simple, but truly it is the little things that
Mm-hmm.
over time create big results.
Right. So again, we've kind of mentioned it, but looking back to like '92 versus today, especially with technology, number one, what technology and/or tools, which may or may not be technology, but that you cannot live without?
Well, naturally, I'm going to have to say the internet
Yeah, sure.
because when I first started in real estate, we had about a 2-inch thick book was printed every 2 weeks, and
Oh
that's
wow,
how we knew about listings that came on the market. And you
wow,
had one photo to express the whole house, and
really, wow.
if it were a new listing, a photo wouldn't even be there. And that's probably where I got a lot of my drive, because if you wanted to get a good listing, you'd see the address, but you had to go out, you had to drive by it and see
Mm-hmm.
what it looked like and see
Right.
if it was going to work.
That's crazy.
And then, just going through the facts, all of
Mm-hmm.
that, I really appreciate the fact that I had a chance to see how the real estate industry has evolved. So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely the internet. I couldn't live without it. On a little small techie thing, it's not a big deal, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully I won't get in any kind of trouble for touting something. But there's a little app called Taylor that I love,
Mm-hmm.
Tailor,
Mm-hmm.
and that is for cases where you have some communication with someone that you need to convey to another person, and it takes more than one screenshot to um, capture all of that conversation. Then you can take 2 or 3 screenshots and then go over to Taylor app, and it will automatically bring those screenshots up and stitch them together like
That's
a
awesome.
tailor, and then boom, you can send it to your
Oh, so
client.
that's okay. That's where the name
Pretty
comes from,
cool.
and that's for like
Yeah.
iPhone, iPad, desktops,
I
laptops.
just use it on the
on the
iPhone.
on the iPhone. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it, Cherie being on and giving that insight. I mean, that's this is really the crux of what the Rise podcast is all about. It's for realty inspiration, and to kind of lift those up that aren't learning from those that have already been there, just kind of like, you mentioned the mentorship. I mean, the same kind of deal. And I really appreciate you being on, and can't wait to get this, this podcast posted so, others can start seeing it and learning from it. I thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. I really enjoyed it as well. And I'm available if anybody to have a conversation with me. I'm happy to help.
How would that go about? What would be the best way for them to communicate with you?
I'm easy to find on the internet. Just
Wonderful.
call me up.
Makes sense. Well, Cherie, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.